I mentioned at the beginning of Mass that I think the readings kind of point to something that we all should maybe take a look at. Our declaration of dependence. Not independence, but dependence. Jesus in the gospel today, he says that if you believe me, you'll trust in my word, and my word will give you truth, and the truth will set you free. So it's dependent upon our faith in the Lord. Dependent. Just as surely as in the first reading, we hear about Shadrach, Meshach, and Abednego. These three young men who would not listen to the commands and the demands of Nebuchadnezzar, the Babylonian king, whom they had been held in captivity. And so he says, you will worship the statue that I have built. And when you hear the bagpipe, psaltery, the music playing, this is what you're going to do. You're going to bow and worship to this statue, which is our God. And they said they would worship and serve no God but their own, the one true God. So he, of course, he says, if you don't, this is what's going to happen. I got a furnace, and he raises the temperature. It's fiery white hot. And he says, if you don't do this, you're going to be thrown into the fire. They said, well, you do with us as you will, but we will not disobey our God. We will not be faithless, but rather we will be faithful. And so, they're thrown into that furnace, and we hear, what happens. There's Nebuchadnezzar looking in, and there they are standing there with another person, who is the Son of Man, which would be, for us would be Christ, He present to them. Doesn't say that they walked out of the furnace. It doesn't say that they were unharmed, but he looked into the furnace and they weren't burnt up. And so, what happens? Well, taken to the Lord. Isn't that what we all hope for ultimately? Our dependence on God, on His Word, the divine Word that humbled Himself to become one like us in everything, to become flesh to dwell among us. And we see His glory in this wonderful sacrament of the Eucharist. We see His glory in His church. And yes, there have been darker days even than these ones that we are all experiencing. And God has been with us every step of the way. Jesus says to them that He is the Word that humbled Himself to become flesh, and His Word gives us truth, and the truth will set us free. In truth, my sisters and brothers, don't we all depend on the Lord each and every day of our lives? In the midst of this pandemic, coronavirus, people say, well, it has control. It has the control over us. No. Last night I was sharing with the RCIA candidates, still meeting. It was a wonderful thing. Karen was there, and almost all of them were present. We did a video conference kind of a thing. First time for me. I'm not the greatest in the world of the internet, but I got on, and somehow, some way, it all worked, and it was wonderful. Almost to the point of tears last night to see those folks, their faces, everybody there, at one point or another, conversing. We were talking about moral theology, morality, and how it works in our daily lives. And for that, an hour and a half, more almost 2 hours. So we didn't finish until 9:30. I think everybody was, so enthralled and just so happy that we could see and talk with one another. But it was their faith that brought us together. It is our faith that brings us together here this morning. Our faith in a God who loves us so much that He sent His Son Jesus, who is the Word. And if we can embrace His Word and come to know the truth will truly set us free. So our freedom comes on our total and complete dependence on God and His Son through His Holy Spirit. Today, we thank God for your faith. Those of you who are one with us in a spiritual sense. We know you're home, but we thank the Lord too. I know I speak on behalf of my brothers for all the notes, the kind words, the pictures. Had one family with 4 little girls, and they made pictures for us, all as priests, and then sent us the product of their love, their artistry. What a wonderful thing to see that. And then a picture with them holding their pictures on their deck just yesterday. That's a wonderful thing. And so those kinds of things, they help us so much. But let us help one another. We may be separated. Social distancing, yes, we have to abide in that. But we're not isolated. We are never alone. First of all, God walks with us always. Secondly, we love and care for one another. It's what we do. Karen sent us a text this morning. There's so much, 5 bins, I think, food, diapers, things like that. You people are showing your love of God for your love for your sisters and brothers who are in need. And that's what our faith is all about. It's a living faith, and nothing or no one will ever separate us from that love.